Hello, my name is Rainy Taroni, and I am going to demonstrate to you how to draw a dragon's head. Now, I see a lot of people wanting this kind of video, uh, and are having issues with drawing dragon heads, so I thought I would just make a video on how to do that. And here we go. Let me make sure my opacities are on. Alright. Now, in order to start a dragon's head, it's very important to draw it three-dimensionally. This is used for just about drawing any kind of head, but let me turn that off. Alright, so it's very important to draw it in 3 dimensions, like a circle, sphere, cone shape, or a cube. Generally good to draw things inside of a cube in general, or mix everything all together so that you can have three-dimensional shapes. Anything can be built with these shapes. So take that away. Now we're going to draw a dragon's head using three-dimensional shape. So what I like to usually do is I have a technique where I just kind of start drawing lines. This is a technique I use to regularly just break drawing block. It always works. Never have drawing block ever, because you can always find something in random shapes. So I'm just making these shapes. I have no preconceived idea of what I want, but eventually the right combinations of lines start to pop in, and you start to see something, and then you want to grab a hold of that idea and then decide. I usually decide a good spot to start, usually with a dragon's head, I've found, is the eye area. So right here, this is going to be where the eye is. I just go and put a line there, I put a line there. This is the front of the eye, this is the back of the eye, of the eyelid area. Then another eyelid area there, eyelid over here, and now I make sure that this overlaps this one, so that you know this part right here is above. This is the above area. This is going to be the eye socket. It's usually good to draw a sphere for where the eye is going to be. If you're starting out, I don't generally do this because I pretty much can see the sphere in my head. Alright, so the sphere, I mean, it'd probably be good for me to do it more anyway, so that I could even do even better 3D than I usually do. But there's an eye. And we don't really need to go into detail in the eye too much. Just a basic eye works. So now you have a base. This is what I would call like an inside-out technique, which is you know that there's a solid base in a big sphere, square or cube. Everything's based in a cube, so everything's going to be in this cube right here. This is really good still, even for anybody to do, even no matter how, like, what level you are, is to build a cube so that you can see it in space. Like I said, you know, for speed purposes, people that have been doing it for a long time, they just kind of see the sphere they kind of get the hang of where it's going to be anyway. So anyway, you have the eye, you have all these random shapes. Problem is that I don't like about having the sphere in there for myself. Straight lines, all this rigid stuff, it just makes me think it's a blueprint, and I just like start to lose it distracts from what I'm trying, my creative cloud technique, where you're looking and you're trying to see random shapes, and all you see is a square, and the square keeps on saying to your brain, uh-oh, there's a big old square there, and it's hard to think of stuff very artistically, in a very no words. You don't want to think about words. You just want feelings, just feelings. So anyway, I'm going in here and I'm working from the eye out. And because you have the eye, you can base the whole head around where that eye's position is in perspective. Because that eye's not going anywhere. I mean, it's not going to, it's going, the whole head is locked to where that eye is going to be. Now, a good thing to do is to measure this whole eye area and then draw like a pipe or a line that goes from there to there. Now you can, in perspective, you have the beginning of the eye area for this eye, and you can draw the other eye over here on the other side of the head. You can line up the eyes. This is really good on people. This is really good on everything. So what I'm doing here is, since this eye is on the other side of the head, you got to know that you're not going to be able to see most of that eye. You're only maybe even just a little bit of the eyelid and a little bit of maybe the eye right there, like that. So now you have this part of the brow. It's more about the brow than anything. You're describing the brow from this side. You don't get the brow as much on this side, but you get it more on this side now. You can see a lot of how the 3D of this brow works over here. And see, this gives you 2 takes on the form. This form over here of the brow and the eye, this gives you a different view of this eye from different angle. So basically, seeing this eye from this perspective allows you to see this eye with more 3D, even though it's straight on to us right here. It's straight on. Usually things that are straight on, you don't see as much form. But things that are at a 3/4 angle, you get to see more. You get to see a flat side, and you get to see in between the sides. So you get more 3D. So now with the 2 eyes, I mean, you can do anything with this now. You could give it a, it's basically like an RPG design thing now. You can basically go, the whole head is locked into place, into perspective now. It's all easy from here, because now you can decide, oh, do I want the jaw to be out here like this, and have the snout go in like this out here? Do you want that, you know? Do you want that? We can have it out like that. We could Control Z here. You can also go, oh, I just want a short snout. There's a short snout. And now the thing is, since the eyes are based in 3D, it's much easier to base everything else in the drawing in 3D as well. This happens a lot in drawing. Like I've noticed when I'm drawing a picture, that if I draw at least one area in the drawing somewhat realized, as in it's set in stone what it is, then it makes it a lot easier to set everything else in stone. It sets a tone for the whole picture. You don't have to finish everything. Just one little area that's set up correctly makes you set up the whole picture correctly, instead of having a bunch of just mix, match, I don't know what's what or whatever, you know, you don't know what, instead of having a big mixture of quality and not knowing what's supposed to be rendered out and what's not to be, just having one little area of rendition gives you that ability to have the control to go in and start rendering wherever you please. And it also makes your picture look finished no matter what from that level, wherever you get to. Because people say, oh, he was able to render one area out, but he just didn't get to the rest of it. People understand that. People understand, oh, it's not, you know, it's not finished, but that's because he ran out of time, or that's all that allotted him. And it shows your range of quality that you can do. It doesn't show that, you know, it doesn't show that you have know, you don't have the ability to take an idea all the way. And there's a skill in showing an idea all the way, because if you can do that, that's kind of the point. Not all the time, but you got to be able to show at least somewhat of what the idea is. Finishing an idea. It doesn't need to be finished, fully rendered. It just needs to be to a point where you can finish the idea so people understand what it is. Like the difference between a mythological dragon, right here, we're going to try and go for a more of a Chinese-esque dragon. That's what I'm thinking. Just, we already got the Chinese type stuff going on here, so let's just go with it. So we got these going right here, and then I'm trying still at always just trying to think about overlapping shapes. That's one of the most important things, is to try and build overlapping shapes. Especially, that's the whole point of a three-quarter angle. Three-quarter angle, you get lots of overlap. Side view and front view, you get almost no overlap. Very, very little. Three-quarter, you can get a lot of descriptive information put out. And that's why it's harder, because now you have to really set in stone what the anatomy is, what overlaps what, what teeth are in front of another one, is the jawline out here, or is it going to go here, and is this part going to overlap that part? Those are all essential things that other people in the process are going to need to know. And so three-quarter to me is the most descriptive angle. But I guess it all depends. If you just need the front area chest stuff, you just need a turnaround. It seems to be, to me, the best one to do if you're going to do any angle. You can take, it just gives the most information for the amount of work put in. Get a hint of everything. So right now I'm trying to draw the teeth, and I'm trying to focus on making them overlap and give them interesting shapes. So right here, the front tooth is big. It's overlapping the front jaw and teeth there, and then it goes down and into the jaw area. And I got to think about how it goes into the gums. I think that's one of the biggest amateur mistakes, is just drawing teeth like this. There's a lot of thought into the pointiness of the teeth, but there's no thought into this part, how it goes into the jaw, into the bone, and into the flesh, how bone and flesh mix together. That's very, very important. That's it's what we do. We have to do this. There's no buts around it. You have to study. And how do you increase your ability to know this stuff? Well, it's just studying anatomy. Right here, this is bone mixed with flesh, and we're going to go down into the roots of the teeth and draw the tooth from the below in the bone area, mixed with the gums. The gums are the most important thing right here, because they set up the whole tooth. It's really easy to draw the pointy part. Drawing how the teeth connect to the rest of the body, that's the hard part. That's the part that nobody wants to really think about when they're starting out. So we're just drawing the teeth, and look at this. This is in front of that. That's in front of this one. This one's in front of that one, and they're all going around a curved line that I set up, so that you know where the jaw line. This is the jaw, the bottom, where the gum bottom jaw is. So I'm setting up a guide for myself to draw with, and then we go in here, we erase. Very important. Erasing is nothing wrong with erasing. Erasing is a part of drawing. Erasing is a form of drawing. So especially since, even especially with you're doing digital drawing like I am right here. So drawing in the root again, we're gonna think about position right here of where that big tooth is gonna be on the other side, and it's gonna be probably right over here, yeah. But it's gonna be out here. Get that. So it's about roughly the same spot as the other one. All right. Get another tooth to go out in front of it. That way we can split it up a bit better. Make it more interesting. All right. Drawing the gums in there. Getting. All right. Let's draw in another tooth here. Let's make it more interesting. Let's go in here and do this. Now, this tooth, check this out. You can draw it like a cone. This is nothing but a curved cone shape. Circular in nature, but it's the cone right here, and then the cone goes like this. And this is the tip of the cone, and then, you know, a lot of times you can just do this. This is very important. Draw the structure of your cones and your squares and all that stuff. Very important to visualize the 3D space if you draw, and then you can just erase it. Always be able to be in a situation where you can erase, and digitally you have no excuse not to. It's only laziness if you can't, pretty much. Now, also, it's more important to get the end result that you want than it is to just not get it and be all prideful how you did it without tricks or whatever. It is if you're doing a competition that has limitations and there's bragging rights involved with that, then that's fine. Do what you want. But when it comes to getting a job done, most important, just do it right. Do it the way you'll get the finished result that you want. So here we go. Now this all comes down to anatomy again. We're drawing the lip, like where the tip of the lip area, of the mouth. Show the bending and folding of the skin. Muzzle area, describing that a little bit more. We're just describing shapes. Think about describing shapes. We're not drawing the edges of anything. We're doing a mixture of shadow shapes. These are all like where the shadows would be. That's what describes, that's where these lines come from. Shadows, wrinkles in the skin, and whatnot. Okay, so we got a mouth area. Now we want to maybe make this, since it's going to be a Chinese dragon, let's make this chin bigger. They tend to have big chins, I think. Alright. Now this is just a square right here. This is I'm just describing a square. There's a square right here, kind of a modified square. Just going out, and then make it go out that way. It's not looking the way I want it so far, but I don't complain. I know that I can always make it the way I want it, so it's fine. Everything's good. Don't worry about it. Just keep going. And I see I'm gonna erase that nose because I'm just gonna quickly change the position of it. Now remember here, that line on the top goes above, overlapping, showing the top form overlapping the stuff on the bottom. And then this one goes here to show that this one's overlapping this one, and then this one looks like it's stuck in between them, and it's the one that's closest in. Now, just gonna give that more shape, more form. continue to do this chin area. Now, these dragons have beards. Now let's go in and draw the beard. Describe some hair. Remember, everything I'm doing is the same thing. It's all just drawing a shape that's going to be in front of another one. So this goes in front, this one goes behind it, and then we'll do one that goes in front of that one, and then that one went there, and then maybe we'll twist one over behind it, and then it goes behind it, and then it goes going in front again. Just creating variety. This one goes down below it. See, I'm zoomed in a little too much. I need to back off and go kind of keep. Sometimes, let's see, let's try this. Let's go in and then just make like a big like shape like that. And then we can go in. See, I made a guideline. Sometimes it's really important to make guidelines. Let's go in again. I don't like how far away it is. Let's just make it a little small beard. But you see, you have to recognize what you want and what you don't want really quickly. The quicker you know that, the better your picture is going to be. If you can always be looking down the road 10 steps or something, if you can see where you're going to be 10 steps from now with that, and how that design is working, how it works with the whole thing, your whole drawing, then you will be able to make quick changes when you haven't invested very much time into it. If you've invested, like you saw how much time I invested in that beard that I've erased it several times. Both times that I erased it, I had only invested about 5 seconds into it. You know, it's not a big deal to erase it and go try something new. But an amateur mistake is to go in and just draw it for hours and hours and then be so invested in it that it's discouraging to change whatever you did to it, because you invested so much time into it that it's natural for you to not want to change it. But that's what I think professionals do really well, is that they don't make no mistakes. They make just as many mistakes as anybody else. They just know how to see those mistakes early on and then improve them, take them away very, very, very quickly in comparison to other people. So that they never look like they ever made a mistake. It's just kind of, I think mistakes have to be kind of incorporated into your process, because actually mistakes are one of the ways that you come up with things you would never come up with. Sometimes you'll see something, you'll be like, wow, I didn't want to do that, but I think I'm going to roll with it. And sometimes that turns into some of the best things you've ever done. Some of the most original ideas. I call that thinking with your hands. Thinking with your drawing instead of thinking about it prior. I think there's a lot of stuff that you gotta be able to do right at that moment. Now we're gonna go in and I think I like this area here. I like this area here. I'm not really liking how the eyes are working with this right now. I think that it'd be really cool to see these eyes. This eye needs to be shrunk down a little bit. Shrink this eye down a little bit, make it look a little bit more menacing. Work on the brow. Brows are very important, especially when if they don't have eyelashes. But since this is a Chinese dragon, we're gonna need huge lashes. Okay, What I'm doing right here is I'm just creating form lines that just kind of, it's just kind of this, just that. And what that does is it shows form. You know, it shows form, it shows some texture, and sometimes that texture, it doesn't, it just needs to be there to show the form what it's doing. And you can always go back, as long as it's curved lines, curved like this, curve. It's describing a surface. And it's just a first pass on the structure of the shape of the form. And what I'll go in and cross line it like this with like, oh look, there's all of a sudden there's two scales. Yeah, right? See, scales, they're going around the circular surface that I created with the first pair of lines. Look at that. Look at that. Setting up a plane to put my details on top of. Now, some of these you want to break up. You don't want to have them all like looking like, they're basically squares. And that's a problem. If you don't want you don't want to get this look where you have it all looking all uniform and whatnot. These are organic structures, meaning that, you know, they're very, nature is very, it's not the same all over the place. You know, if you look at a cat that has stripes on it, or a tiger, their stripes and they're all over the place. They'll look like to the human eye, just looking at like a tiger's face, that it looks like they're the same on both sides, the stripes. But if you look harder, they're not. They're all different in their own little way. They're all unique in a certain way. That's the way nature works. So if you make your stuff look all rigid and built, it's going to look that way. And it's not going to look natural. It's going to be distracting to the eye. Think of a cookie crumbling, you know, it crumbles differently every time. So that's the way nature is, so just go with it. All right, constantly thinking about overlapping shapes. Constantly, that's all I do. Over and over and over and over. It's the same like 3 marks everywhere. It's the same little like zigzag and like stuff going. Oh, look at that. That was not good. This line was going right there, and it was creating a tangent. Don't like tangents. So going in there, making that tooth go behind there, that tooth right there. So now it looks like there's some kind of weird tooth anomaly. But anomalies are fine. Anomalies are good. That's what makes things interesting. Anomalies. Having things look all perfect is actually one of the big mistakes that people make. It shouldn't look perfect. It should look perfect in its execution, but in design, it doesn't need to look perfect. There's a lot of art that I see out there that looks great, and it's in its imperfections that make it so magnificent or interesting or beautiful. We love a lot of things for their imperfections. We just don't say it like that. Making horns. This is just squigglies. These are just this is a squiggle, but it's also a squiggle that represents this. The surface that is going to be there, but I don't want to describe that surface to a super high detailed extent, right? At least right now. I want to be able to control the detail for where I want it and where I don't want it. Because the way your eye sees it, it's going to kind of group it up anyway. So I'm kind of just grouping the detail all up into its own little shapes so that you're not going to look there. I want them to look at the eyes and the teeth and like this frontal area here, and I want the other stuff to be kind of extra. All right, another thing is I got this is another cone, the wiggly looking cone shape. And then and because it's a cone, I have it right here. I can bring this shape over here onto the other side of the head. This is the cranium area, and then just bring it over. And then all of a sudden you can just duplicate that circle over there, and all of a sudden you just start it, and you just start it on the other side, the same spot, and then you just go like this. Just go same spot, going in perspective, and you're just looking at the other horn to get. But you see, I don't care if it's exactly the same, because I know that imperfections are fine. You can always make it more perfect. It's having those imperfections that are hard to reproduce. The good ones, to reproduce them. So just going in, making more. There we go. Okay, so that, you know there's a horn there, you know what's over there, and it's good. So we don't really need to go in and do more with it right now. See, here we got the, I think I need to describe this jaw more. Going in, describing that jaw, and thinking kind of a horse jaw kind of right now. What a horse's jaw would be like. There we go. Now, dragons tend to have these like frills, so I'm gonna draw a frill here. Thinking about it in 3D. Now this is a flat, like circular object, I think. So I'm thinking the neck goes down like this, you know, and then you're gonna have it go like that. So just putting a guideline down, make guidelines. It's okay to get things wrong the first time. A guideline's just a guideline, you don't have to abide by it. But guideline makes it easier to get it in perspective and correct to the mind's eye. So just gonna go in here, doing the same little 3 marks again, 3 little 3 marks, just going in long, short, just adding little squigglies that go like this. Like just describe form, just describing form. And it's important to just describe the form so that you can go in and put in the details where you want. As long as you have that form planned out, no matter if you go in and put the details in there or not, people will still get the drawing, they'll still understand it. And in fact, their mind will probably put the detail in there for them, which is even better. Saves you time, and it actually adds an element that they can look at and say, hey, you got them to use their imagination. So, but you know, depends on what you're trying to get. If you need to get a drawing that's super rendered out for the purposes of your project you're working on, it needs to be, well, then that's what needs to be done. But at least you can set up the form first so that all the detail that you put on will be based in forms that you put in, that it's based in a 3-dimensional form that you laid out for yourself. It's kind of like a 1-2 punch, 1-2-3 punch or something in boxing. It's not about the first punch that is there to test them. It's about the second one. It's about that hard knockout third punch that comes in and seals the deal. So, number 1 is the outward or the form like that, and then this is the number 1, like kind of a 3-dimensional cone. Number 2 punch is going like this and putting little squigglies that basically put in like, oh, the form's going there, the form's going there, form's going there, form's going there, and then the third knockout punch would be to go in and be like, okay, there's this final description. Now, this is just for drawings purposes. You can always, for painting, it would be even more. But, you know, for that horn right there, look at that. 1, 2, 3, punch combo. Not about the first time. Trying to knock out your opponent the first time on the first punch is going to get you knocked out. You're gonna make a mistake on that, and chances are you're not gonna knock them out the first time. So then you're gonna feel all like, oh, my whole plan was to knock them out on the first go. Now what do? That's not the right mentality for this. You're in it for the long haul. You want to get it in. You want to fight the whole fight. Now, for drawing's sake, that's just 1, 2 punch, 1, 2, 3 punch combo is just the drawing stage. Now, a final illustrated painting would be what I would call an entire boxing match, because you're gonna be tackling the drawing and trying to turn it into a painting, and there's a whole nother bout of stuff that goes on in there. So there's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 combo for how I draw. Pretty simple stuff. Now let's go in and draw some of their mystical hair. Just going in, showing form, just a bunch of shapes, drawing the hair as a bunch of shapes, not a bunch of overlapping and shapes that are in front of and behind each other. That's what they are. They're not a bunch of strings. They're shapes. I need to get this done. I don't want this YouTube video to be too long. So just adding in the final. See, look at this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Shows where the plane of the hair is going. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And make that hair go in behind. Making that hair behind. Make this hair in front. Gives good variety, you know? Stuff in front, stuff behind. Oh, it's interesting because it's all over. That's what hair does. Flops around. Behind and front. Behind and front. Okay. Erase that horn I drew there. See, I'm not afraid. You gotta be not afraid to erase things, ever. It's quite important to erase. Just get rid of stuff that don't work. You'll be happy that it's gone. You'll be happy. Otherwise, you'll have those bad things holding your drawing down, and you'll be fighting it the whole time when you could have just erased it and drew something better. Alright, let's put these wild eyelashes on, or not eyelashes, eyebrows that these Chinese dragons have. Just a bunch of shapes. There we go. Sorry if I sound like I'm repeating myself. It's a lot of the same idea, just used over and over and over again for different purposes. Simpler you keep your art, the easier it is to learn for yourself. If you think it's all complex and really hard all the time, then you're just gonna like hurt yourself trying to learn because you're gonna think it's too hard to do it, and you're gonna be all thinking it's too hard and don't know where to start. This way, you simplifize it down for yourself so that it's easier. You have a little bit more confidence, and you actually know what to do. You know, even if it is a complex object like a dragon like this, you can simplify it down to just 3 lines that you do a lot. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Describing the form of the hair. Now, this isn't the best dragon I've done. I think there's some stuff I can do to it. Let's make it a little bit closer. Move this guy, move him over, tilt his head. Let's just, for the sake of this, give him his body some form here. Put his body in there. Floating head doesn't work out too well for these guys. I don't know. Just putting. He's a donut. He's a donut dragon. It's making a donut right here. Let's see. Not afraid to erase. Going in, connecting, make sure that this head connects to this body properly. And add in some eyes. Add in the pupils. Make sure that people don't line up directly with the eyelids. That's the other thing, I think. Makes it look like it's not 3-dimensional if the eyelid is lined up with the bottom of the pupil. Look at that. He's looking right at us. Oh yeah, he's got a lot more character now. Just doing some little minor tweaks here to see if there's anything more that needs to be done to this guy. A little bit more description in the nose would be nice. Make it look a little bit more dog-like or something. I always thought that they looked that way. Maybe a little bit of mustache looking type stuff like they have. And we're almost at that point where I'm about to be done. I am planning on keeping up on my YouTube videos, trying to do more of them. I can do more how-tos like this, how to draw characters, how to draw dragons, monsters, anything people really want. Just ask me in the comments section. Just put in what you would like to see done next time. I can go in and do a drawing of it, show you how I would approach it. I would much appreciate that. And also, if you like the video, I would recommend that you like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. You can also go to my website, randychironi.com. See what I'm currently working on. I also like to put these videos up on my website so that people can see them from there. Be somewhat of a hub for this stuff. Almost there. Now I'm going to go in and put a little dark line focusing on the head area, head forms, to draw the eye to right here where I want them to look. And also this will show emphasis, but also it will also show that this part of the body is in front of everything, without a doubt. And so it's very important in the art field to hit people over the head with something, I think. Make sure that they know it without a doubt. Any doubt in their mind can be confused, in the viewer's mind can be kind of a confusing thing, and you want to remove all confusion. That's the advantage to art, is that you don't have to leave it as is. You can make it so that what you're trying to say in your picture is there. It's not a mystery. It's much like the old films. If you ever look at some of the old black and white films that had no sound, the actors had to they performed in a way that allowed you to, that speaks volumes in what they're saying, even though they're not saying a word. And I think that that's very, very important for artists to do, because we don't have any sound in our pictures. It will later, if they're all animated or in a film, or if they're used for a video game or something. But from an artist standpoint, the picture itself should portray that stuff. Maybe what the actor would, maybe what the character would sound like, or what his attitude is. Would he be that guy that would talk all timid, or would he be the guy that's gonna save the day because he's a badass? Is he a good jokester? Those are things that the artists are kind of responsible for, to show in the drawing. I definitely recommend going and watching some old movies, like Thief of Baghdad was a really good one. That was amazing. I just, there's stills of it. There's also Lawrence of Arabia. These are movies that are just insanely good prop design, character design, and they're just visually descriptive because they needed to be. This dragon is about done. What I'm going to do something really cool. I'm going to add another layer. Save this. Oh, save it real quick. Well, I'm not going to save it. It's fine. Alright, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw a black background. Or wait, I can do a red background. I can always change it later. Don't know what that blue line is right there. It's like a guide line or something. I think it's guides. What is that thing? Oh. Cool. Moved it. If anybody needs to know how to move that thing, whatever it is, it's Control, and then you go over it with your, select it. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going in. This is kind of a cool little technique. It's just create, if you create a drawing, you can go in and you can add a cool, like, solid, thick background to it. Alright, I'm going to take the opacity off so that I don't have to fight the pressures. It's always thick color. Just go in and add a color to the background. Let's make this a multiply layer. There we go. That way I overlap any of the overlap it, I can just see it and I can erase it. Just go in like this. This is just something that makes it so you can see the drawing a lot better. I do this with traditional charcoal and pencil all the time. You just make I think you call it a vignette out of your picture. You just go in and put like a background in. It's just it could be a shape too. It could be a pretty cool looking shape. You just put this in there and it breaks up the image so that you can see the subject matter of what you drew a lot easier. It's not white on white anymore. It's white against red, and that makes it so you can focus on what you drew and people can see it for what it is. Much easier. And if they can see what you drew better, that's a lot better drawing, I think. And it doesn't take that much work to do this. You just go in and toss in some color somewhere, or it could be black if you want it to be black and white, but I'm just putting this red in here because red goes well with I think it's a Chinese, I think it's their color or something. It's like it means rich. I think it means it's something rich, prideful, and all kinds of stuff. It's just a really, I think it's their national color, actually. Yeah, national color. So. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Just like that. There we go. That's how I draw. This is how I draw a dragon. There's a close-up. Like I said before, if you like what you see, just go in and click subscribe. I'll be putting up and making more videos over time. And let me know in the comment section if you want to see anything more like this, or just dragons or knights, samurai, ninjas, just anything really. Alright, thank you. Bye.